Shut up and sit down.
Hello, what is up? Welcome to Voido Vision. Now, today what we're going to do is we're going to run down the greatest and the worst movies of 2017. Was 2017 a shitty year? Definitely. Wasn't a good year. Wasn't a great year. But we did get a lot of fucking great movies, which is why we're here on Voido Vision. Kicking off this year, 2017, we had January 20th, the release of Split. If you haven't seen Split, it's an amazing sort of psychological horror drama starring James McAvoy, right? Everybody's favorite Professor X. Kidding. I'm kidding. I love you, Patrick Stewart. But he is great as Professor X. He's a great actor, I think. And Split, wow, what a movie. I mean, he plays a character with 23 different personalities, and he pulls off each and every one of them that even though it looks like him in the scene, you buy it. You buy that he's a different person. The whole movie revolves around the 24th personality. And not only that, but he has like 3 girls locked in a dungeon, pretty much. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely check it out. This is the best. This is on the best list. This is the side of light, not the dark side. This is the side of groovy fucking movies. Split. Next, unfortunately released on the exact same day, and the only reason I'm mentioning this movie, well, it'll become obvious soon. On January 20th also came out Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage. Now, why do I like this movie? Well, one, my name is Xander. So there aren't that many. Like the last Xander that was famous was the gay Metroid Prime sort of Link-looking dude from what was it? The animated reality show. Fuck. Can't remember the name right now. But yeah. So the last thing I had was like a gay Link copy. Slash Metroid Prime. And I remember coming out like this. The original Triple X with Xander Cage came out maybe when I was 16, 17. I remember watching it and being like, oh, fucking finally. There's a cool Xander. And I don't just mean that dope motherfucker from Buffy, who I love. Who actually I got to talk on the phone with. I have a very funny story about that. Yeah, no, fuck it. Let's insert it here. I was working on my first true short film where I had a producer and a cinematographer, and this was my college thesis project, right? I got chosen to write and direct my movie that I wrote and directed. And during it, a buddy of mine was at a Comic-Con somewhere, and while auditioning people for my shitty 20-minute short film about a guy who breaks up with people for a living. The actors are there auditioning, and my buddy gives me a call and goes, hey, man, I have Nicholas Brendon, a.k.a. Xander, Xander Harris from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's like, dude, I have Nicholas Brendon on the phone, so he could talk with you. And I went, yeah. So I had a couple, dude, yeah, and I told him, it's just so great to have a Xander on TV, and I thought you were great. You were really the heart of that show. And he's like, thank you so much, man. Good luck with your filmmaking. And then I hang up the phone. I look up at my actors, and I said, I'm sorry, I was busy. That was Nicholas Brendon, Xander, from television's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Anyway, can you please go over your lines again? Epic! I felt like a god. It was just a good moment. Now, in that same motherfucking month came out another of the worst movies I think ever made, and probably one of the worst franchises ever, Resident Evil. Now, I love myself some Mila Jovovich, Corbendales, multipas. I get that. I loved The Fifth Element, and I realized, I found out that Mila Jovovich's husband directs the Resident Evil movies, which is more than likely why they keep putting them out. It's just like, well, honey, I can get paid, you can get paid, everybody gets paid, and we don't have to do real movies. We can just fucking sit on our yacht with our Resident Evil cash. And you got to respect him for that. You got to. She's beautiful. She's very good at action. I'm not going to... In fact, most of the weakest parts of those movies are not Mila Jovovich. They are the plot or side characters or the villains that just look like rejects from the Matrix Revolution. But yeah. That's the end of January. Okay, that was the beginning of 2017. What do we get? One good movie. But that's not bad for a month. You get one great movie, Split. Jump to February. February motherfucking 10th comes out one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever seen in my life. It made me laugh. It made me nostalgic. And it brought back the greatness that was the Lego movie. I'm talking about the Lego Batman movie. The Lego Batman movie is hilarious. It's so funny. And what's great about it, it's like reminds me of Family Guy, because when I would watch Family Guy with my sister, I'd laugh or at least smile at a lot of things that she didn't understand, and I'd look at her, I go, "You don't get it. This is a straight parody of Knight Rider," that she might not remember that well because she was a little younger, but I did watch Knight Rider. Or weirder things. Inner Space. Like Inner Space with Martin Short. They'll make a reference at that, and it's funny because of what's happening, but she doesn't get, oh, that's a direct ripoff from Inner Space. That's what he's doing. Lego Movie is the same way. If you're a huge Batman fan, or at least I'm not a huge Batman fan. He's definitely not on my top 5 favorite superheroes. But he's Batman. Everybody knows Batman. I've seen every Batman movie. I can't lie. And I'm talking about Val Kilmer, George Clooney. I'm talking about, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, fucking, Michael Keaton, the greatest. Michael Keaton's such a good Batman. He pulled off being Batman, even though he's my height. He's 5'6". If you notice in that movie, he looks up at almost all of the bad guys. Every fucking villain, every gangster he fights, he's looking up at them. But he pulls off that stature of Batman. So, if you and Adam West. Oh, Adam West, Batman. I don't know why. I actually recently heard a podcast that sort of explained the cycles of the Adam West Batman, but it turned out it aired in the 60s, and then it aired again in the late 70s, and then it aired again in the late 80s, early 90s, which is when I literally would come home from school, just like a kid from the city. I would come home from school and watch Batman with my cousin, and it was great, and we would Pam's out, and we would act out scenes, and we would, it was great. We knew it wasn't, as cool as comic books, but it was this weird, silly thing that was so much fun. And they pay homage to that. Not to mention, one of the greatest Batmans, even though he's half doing a impersonation of Christopher Nolan's Batman, or whatever the fuck. I mean, that stupid, oh my god, what are you doing? Decision. But he's doing it lighter. He's a little cool. He's just kind of here. What do you mean? Look at me. I'm Batman. And it's very cool. Will Arnett deserves, I think, most of the credit for that. But even if you just look at we're talking about all-stars, these are the voices right here. Batman, Will Arnett. Robin, Michael Cera, who I'm not crazy about, but as Robin, I think he's perfect. Batgirl, Rosario Dawson, my princess, my night nurse. If you're not a Defenders fan or a Daredevil fan, you don't get that, but my night nurse. Alfred was fucking Ralph Fiennes. Ralph fucking Fiennes. Voldemort. Or, sorry. He Who Shall Not Be Named. Was the voice of Alfred. The Joker was Zach Galifianakis, which was amazing. Scarecrow, Jason Mantzoukas from How Did This Get Made? Love him, dude. Just Jenny Slate, Conan O'Brien, Doug Benson. Billy D. Williams is Two-Face in this goddamn movie, which is calling back to Billy D. Williams in the first time we saw Two-Face. I think it was Batman. It wasn't Batman. It wasn't Batman Returns. It was Batman 3. I don't even know. It might have been 2. It might have been in Returns. Anyway, Billy D., the original Two-Face. Oh, he was black in the movies. Take that, SJW fucking, we need diversity in movies. Two-Face was always white and we put a black guy in the movie. Why? Because he was fucking Billy D. He was Billy D. Williams. Just became Obama. Tell you something about Batman. Billy D. is a bad motherfucker. Lando Calrissian motherfucker. My Obama says a lot of motherfucker. So anyway, it's a great cast in the Lego Batman movie, and that was definitely one of the best movies this year. Now let's on the same day release, 50 Shades Darker, the movie. Like I watched 50 Shades of Grey. I didn't want to, but I was like, what is this? And if you haven't seen 50 Shades of Grey, here's the entire movie. I'm a bad man who likes to do dirty things. Well, I like you. I mean, how dirty could they be? No, they're seriously dirty. I need you to sign this contract. Contract? Yeah, this is everything I can do to you and everything you can do. Okay. Signs the motherfucker. Then at the end of the movie, he smacks her with a whip too hard, and she calls him out as a monster. Bitch, he's been telling you the whole time he's a freaky motherfucker. I'm sorry. I lost my shit. I hope I didn't peek the mic there. So, 50 Shades Darker, I saw a little bit of it. I could not sit through it. Didn't make any fucking sense. It's a cash grab. Go fuck yourself. But this was a hell of a day because on top of Batman, or Lego Batman, on top of 50 Shades Darker, like the bullshit is that much darker. It's that much richer. It's 50 Shades shittier than the first 50 Shades. That's 100 shades of shit. But, same day, we got John Wick 2. Now, if you haven't seen John Wick, you're missing out. You're missing out. Now, is the story of John Wick amazing or plot-filled or anything like that? No, it isn't. It's very simple. He's an assassin. They come into his house. They fuck his shit up. They shoot his dog. They shoot his dog, which, I mean, I've lost a dog in my life. I almost understand the murderous rampage, especially if you knew they were pieces of shit to begin with. John Wick 2, completely great sequel, completely holds up to John Wick, just as much fun action. I'm very excited that the John Wick director is actually working on Deadpool. He's working on Deadpool 2. He is, I believe, the director of Deadpool 2. So, awesome. I'm sure he's going to blow that out of the water. Deadpool, awesome blossom. Okay, so we're jumping a little ahead. It's still February, but it's February 24th, and we get the most awesome... I mean, it really is one of the most original and crazy horror movies in a while. Get Out. Get out. Get the fuck out. Yo, brother, these white people is crazy as shit. And as a Cuban, I could say white people, so go fuck yourself, okay? White people are crazy as shit. Now, not all white people, but you saw them in that movie. Rich white people? Whoo! I'm not saying they're all evil, but there's a lot of them that are crazy as fuck and have way too much money. That's why there's bomb shelters built into mountains for no fucking reason so these rich assholes can survive when we nuke the nuts off the world. Get Out was very great. Suspenseful as fuck. The ending is a little weird. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it. I'm trying not to ruin any of these movies. There are no real spoilers in this. Maybe till I get to the end. But Get Out, definitely a movie you should check out. It's not. Wait, is it Key or Peele? It's Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele. So it's Jordan. Jordan. By the way, if you've never seen Key and Peele, their sketch comedy show, just go back, get Hulu, whatever the fuck it is, watch it. It is, I think, one of the best sketch comedy shows in the history of sketch comedy shows. This is a guy who's seen every episode of In Living Color, every episode of SNL. I've seen the Ben Stiller Show, the John Leguizamo Show, Dave Chappelle. I've seen all those sketch comedy shows, and I really think that Key and Peele, one of the best. But turns out Jordan Peele, he's a bad motherfucker. He could direct the hell out of a movie and write the shit out of it because that movie worked. And it teaches you a valuable lesson, which is be cautious when dealing with very rich white people in Connecticut. That I learned that, and I grew up in New Jersey. That was one of the rules of the street. Don't fuck with white people from Connecticut because you get picked up in a van with no license plate. We knew that definitely those white people were fucking up to some shit. We knew it. It was way too quiet in those suburbs. God damn it. All right, now we move on to March. So March gave us a lot of movies, and actually, I don't think any of them are bad. There's 5 major movies released in March of 2017, and honestly, I like them all. The first one, of course, March 3rd, Logan. Logan was the greatest X-Men movie ever. Probably the closest X-Men will get to the sort of MCU. I know that Disney just bought Fox, so there's a chance that maybe, kind of, almost, we might get the X-Men into the MCU. But, whatever. Logan, if you saw it, I don't need to tell you. I don't need to tell you how great it is. And if you didn't see Logan, even if you hate comic book movies, this is a hell of a comic book movie. It's actually just a great movie. Second in March, Beauty and the Beast, the live-action version. Now, I know a lot of people don't like it. I was not. I wish they would have spent a little more money on the CGI for the Beast. You know, I wish they would have not Gaussian blurred him so much so that he looks real, but he doesn't. There's scenes where he feels real, so I'll give it to it. I love Emma Watson. I got a huge crush on her. I have a huge crush on Hermione Granger, obviously the character, because I read the books, and her because she's hot. And once Hermione got of age, I enjoyed the movies more. Is that creepy? Is that creepy? No? Yeah? Okay. Just a little creepy. I could deal with that. It's beautiful to watch. It's a great story, and if they had to remake it in live action so the kids today can see the story because they might not watch the old Disney movie that does look pencil drawn. There are scenes with CGI. That was the first Disney movie with some CGI, like the ballroom, if you remember. Tales as old as time. Let's move on from March 17th to actually the same exact day, March 17th. A little movie that not everybody saw, The Belko Experiment. Now, The Belko Experiment, you might remember the trailer. It's an office building that gets locked down, right? And then a voice over the intercom says, you need to kill somebody every hour or whatever it is, or we will kill 10 of you. And then it increases. It's like, well, you didn't do it, you fucked up, and then their heads explode. If they don't kill the 10 people, 10 people are randomly selected and just their heads explode because they got little explosives in their neck because of it's an evil corporation movie, but it's great and it's such a good horror movie. Look it up, The Belko, Belko Experiment. Watch that fucking movie. You're gonna love it. Now, here's something where you think I might say, this is on the worst list, but it isn't. It isn't, even with all the Krispy Kreme advertising in it. The Power Rangers. The fucking Power Rangers movie. Now, I grew up when they first realized that they could cut Japanese shitty footage of monster bots with 90s kids. And as long as they're wearing costumes, nobody would notice. That was me. I was in the first generation of Power Rangers. Everybody either wanted to be the Red Ranger, the Black Ranger, or the Green Ranger. Oddly enough, the Blue Ranger, the intellectual, no, but that was the worst one. There was always some girl who wanted to be Trini. You know, usually some sort of minority girl. I grew up in Jersey. We were actually one of the most, at the time, when I grew up there, we were the most multicultural city in the U.S. at the time. So there was always a Trini. There was always a Kimberly. But this movie both sticks to and gives you a little bit of nostalgia, but it's just a good movie. If you have kids, I suggest watching the Power Rangers. It's a good movie. And if you're just an old Power Rangers fan and you want to see kind of a serious take, like, oh, what if we did this a little more realistic, or a little more with character, plot, and character growth, watch it. You're gonna like it. I saw it. I fucking enjoyed it. Last movie of March, Life, which is gangster. A lot of people joked like Life was the beginning, could be the beginning of a Venom movie, like the symbiote. But Life is incredible. There are some dumb science things where you're just like, why would he touch it? Are you fucking? It just choked out that guy's hand. Why would you then play with it again? Keep it. You should fucking kill it. They should kill it in the first 30 minutes of the movie, but they don't, and you get it because it's life. New life that we found. So, but whatever. It's pretty much you're stuck on a spaceship with an entity that evolves in minutes instead of millions of years. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the premise. This thing is captured. We find life on another planet, and then this life on this space station decides to kill and eat everything it can. And by the end of it is, again, it just keeps evolving. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but it just keeps getting more intelligent. That was March. March was amazing. Good for March. March Madness movie. March movie madness. It was great. But now we jump to April. And April has two main movies that I want to talk about, and neither one of them did I love. Fate of the Furious. I don't even know what this is. 7th? Is this the 20th fucking Fast and the Furious movie? I watched the first 3. Then I maybe watched Furious 5? Is this 6? Maybe it comes... Yeah, this might come right after Furious 5. Anyway, The Fate of the Furious. Is it a good movie? No. If you like cars and stupid action, yes. And I'm not going to judge you for that. I watch shit for that reason, too. You know, I don't... Even though I love cars, I like cars in a more realistic movie because the cars in these movies just... They're not cars. Everyone is a sports car and a tank at the same time. But whatever. That was April 12th. Then we got a week later or so, maybe 2 weeks, The Circle. Now, The Circle, I don't know if it had a major movie release. I watched it Netflix, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure where I saw it, but it stars, again, my girl, Emma Watson, and Tom Hanks as like an evil Bill Gates or like an evil Steve Jobs kind of thing. I think whoever runs Google, which I'm not sure if I know, imagine an evil Google. That's what The Circle is. And it's good and it's creepy, and it definitely says something about corporate society and how this whole weird open desk policy and this whole, like, open space, we're just, like, you know, we work here and we live here. That Google campus kind of thing. It makes it evil, which is dope. The movie is a little boring. It stars, I believe, what's his name, Boyega, the guy who plays Finn in Star Wars now. Finn, F1 and 7 or whatever the fuck his name is. Great actor, very charming, has great chemistry with Emma Watson. The movie is not bad. It is boring. It is slow. You're just like, I get what you're doing. Can we just speed this up a little bit? Where's the evil? Where's the... I smell evil in every scene, but can we please move on to it? That was April. Now we jump to May, and we get one of my favorite movies of this year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That's right, the whole gang is back. Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, well... Baby Groot, and Drax. Not to mention familiar characters like Nebula and Yondu. And introducing Ego, the Living Planet. Yeah, it kind of has that sci-fi old school. Like, you could sell Guardians of the Galaxy in like a 1920s radio serial, right? That's what that was. As Guardians of the Galaxy. Great fucking movie. Amazing sequel, I think. Some people don't like it as much as the first one, but that's understandable. The first one had his mom. Like the opening of that, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 1 with my mother. And in that opening scene, when, I guess spoiler alert for Guardians Volume 1, but when his mother dies in the opening, it hit me hard as fuck. Like real hard, you know? And I had my mom next to me, and she kind of put her hand on the rack. I grabbed her hand, and I was just like, I teared up. I was like, oh my God, you know? Like, this is a great setup for a character, the death of his mother. And in this movie, we find out about the death of his mother, which is insane. We find out about his father. The soundtrack, just as good, if not better. Utilized just as great as the first one. They don't take over the scenes. They add to them. There's a scene with Star-Lord and Gamora where they talk about being a Sam and Diane, you know, from Cheers. Great. That was great. I loved it. And now we jump to probably the biggest fucking thing that came out this year, maybe. Well, one of the biggest. Wonder Woman on June 2nd. So we're jumping to June. Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman. Definitely the best of the DC movies, but that's pretty obvious because the rest of DC movies miss the target. They Zack Snyder sucks, and then they try to fix it by changing Zack Snyder. But Patty Jenkins, the amazing director of Wonder Woman, she brightened up the whole thing, which Wonder Woman clearly should do. And she's a woman. She does represent more hope and passion, but she's also violent and just wants to end war by whatever means necessary. She's a very great character. All right. Jumping back into June, so sorry. I'm going to mention probably one of the shittiest movies of all time. But not even because I think all of these movies are shitty. We're talking about Transformers: The Last Knight. All the Transformer movies are just clusterfucks of noise. I've tried to watch like 4 of them, and I can't. I end up fast forwarding. I end up just losing interest or getting screaming at my television. So I can't stand Transformers. But apparently Transformers: The Last Knight, people who love Transformers said fuck this movie. So I guess double fuck this movie. Fuck it twice. Last thing in June was a movie that, how do I describe it? It's like a rock and roll good time mixed with a story that's mediocre. And that is Baby Driver. Baby Driver, very cool. Any scene where Baby is behind the wheel is gold. That's the end of June. That's June 28th. Baby Driver. Do I recommend it? Yes. So we're ending it here in June 28th. We're leaving. We're stopping here. This is part 1 of the year. First 6 months. Thank you. Don't forget to click, subscribe, like, all that nonsense, and click over to the next video because the second half of the year is even more interesting and more weird. It's just so many dice being rolled in the second half of this year. It's gonna be great.